What's up, guys? This is going to be a video on the congressional hearings on big tech. This is going to be the third video I did, but I'll post this Saturday or Sunday. So the main fundamental question we got to ask ourselves is where are we at with this whole thing? Where are we at with capitalism in a true? Because I feel like it's truly being attacked on all fronts. And the truth of the matter is a lot of people have a good points, man. A lot of people have valid points, I should say. So the theory of this is, like I said, I hate to think in absolutes. Of course, I'm a capitalist, but I'm not also dumb, and I realize that if certain amount of people have a lot, but more amount of people have a little, it's in the interest of the people that have more to make sure the people that have less are taken care of. Even if it's self-interest in the sense of you don't want to be, rob, beat, and loot for everything that you've done. And believe me, over the course of history, that has happened. I'm watching that interesting Russian documentary on Netflix, and it showed after the Tsar fell and Bolshevism took over, they literally went in and they slit the farmer's throat, and they stole their cattle and everything. And we've seen it happen in recent times too. In Africa, we've seen it happen, in South Africa. And I think there's another, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but basically they kicked out all the white farmers. But ironically enough, they came back because they figured out that they don't know how to run the farm the proper way and they need management. But anyways, my whole vision on this before we get into the tech giants is there has to be a middle line of socialism and capitalism. And I've been talking about this in my friend circle a lot. Actually, almost on a daily basis, we get into this discussion, and I'm starting to get them to kind of see my way, or at least we're meeting halfway. And they got me to change my opinion on national health care, which I used to be very against it, but after listening to all the arguments, I'm kind of leaning definitely more towards it now. Anyways, my whole argument on this is, before we get into the tech, is, okay, there's only two ways that we're going to be able to go here, okay? I'm going to put four up, but there's only two ways we're going to be able to go here. Either we keep doing what we're doing, say screw everybody else, roll through them, hey, you win or you lose, this is capitalism, suck it, right? Or the second way, you say, okay, we understand that not everybody is after money. We understand that everybody is after a decent quality of life. And this is the problem that I've had the longest time, is when someone says like they want to change the system, or like you got all these movements to say, down with cap. I'm like, okay, well, what is it that you want? Because to me, I think this is what everyone should be entitled to, and that's the right to earn. If you work 40 hours a week and you're, at least 40 hours a week, you should be able to maintain a roof over your head, food in your belly, and lights and water on, at the very minimum. In my personal opinion, anything outside of that is considered a luxury, and you don't have a right to that outside of healthcare, obviously, and education. And the reason why I would say we need healthcare and education is because at the end of the day, they are our citizens and we need them to be productive. So I'm looking at it in a bigger picture view, right? We want to provide them with education because we want them to be able to get educated and work the jobs that we need of the future. They need to be able to program. They need to be able to work on IT. They need to be able to weld and do the things that we need them to do to build this country. And of course, they got to be healthy. But outside of that, the only thing that you should be able to get outside of education and health that the government gives you, you should be able to earn, and always have the opportunity to earn, a roof over your head, running water, electricity, and food in your belly. With that, if you got those basic needs, you should be able to get clothes and stuff like that. You don't, just because somebody has a Benz or someone has a Lambo, that doesn't mean that your life is worse off or anything like that. They have it because, they did X, Y, and Z for it. It's not stopping you from doing it, right? That's what I believe. And I think that when that narrative changes, in the sense of when you work 40 hours a week and you cannot sustain a roof over your head and food in your belly and electricity and water running, that's when this whole thing would come, crumbling down. People have to make sacrifices, guys. That's just the way it goes, right? So my vision and my argument that I've had with my friends, not really argument, we don't really argue, it's more of a discussion, but I said, the Switzerland way to me seems like the only way this country is going to be able to succeed. It's the perfect blend of being able to make companies capitalistic and forge forward while also taking care of our society. Now, one side would say that you're going to hemorrhage growth on the small side because you're not going to really give people a chance to get to a corporate level, which I totally understand that argument. But another side is at least that person will always be taken care of. And what are we getting at? So basically the way Sweden runs is they do like a 40% tax on citizens and they do like an 18% tax on corporations. So how does this work? It's not an actual 40% tax, but it's called like a realized tax, right? My favorite drink of all time, cherry Coke. So when you go buy a cherry Coke, you'll get taxed 10%, above the 8% we pay now or whatever. You'll get taxed like 10% there. Your wages and your actual personal income and your actual state tax and federal tax might be 30%. So with the everyday purchase tax, your sales tax and whatever, that's around 10, and then your governmental tax is 30, you end up paying 40%. And they collect that money, and that's when they give health care and, whatever they got to do. Better teachers, free college, whatever we're going to work with. Then the citizen gets to keep 60%. And this is also a progressive tax. So it's, you don't get taxed the whole, 30% off the rip when you're only making, let's say 100K. It gets progressively higher as you make more income. Now, corporations, and if maybe you guys don't know this, sometimes I assume that people know certain things, but I got to remember to just talk to everybody like you don't know. So, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but corporations, the way they're structured, and the difference between a corporation and an LLC and a sole proprietorship, those are the three main. You have a bunch of others, you have like S Corp and non-profit and all that, but these are the main three. But we're going to take just the two. Well, we're going to take LLC, corporation, and we're going to take sole proprietor. Sole proprietor means you're in business for yourself, okay? That means you're working for yourself and you just, whatever you make, if you have, have scrubs, it's a C Corp, but this, let's say if it wasn't, it's just under a sole proprietor, that's where you got the business license under. Whatever I make, I pay taxes on, I'm paying as just a regular business. It's no entity, no nothing, it's called the DBA, doing business as. That's what like a sole proprietor is. Okay, now an LLC is a shield, okay? So LLC handles all the business, handles all the legal framework. You can only sue the LLC. You can't sue me. I pay my tax on the LLC, which is like around $800 a month. And whatever money it makes, whatever it does, it doesn't get taxed. The LLC never gets taxed. All that still gets passed down to me. So the LLC is just there to protect me legally, So, if I had one rental or three rentals, I tie them up in an LLC and I tie another three up. Someone slips and falls on this one. They can only sue me for that one. They can't come after everything else I got. That's an LLC. Now, a C Corp and a corporation, this is where everybody in the new system would have to do is get a corporation if they wanted to do business. A corporation gets charged corporate taxes, which is 18%. So in the corporation, it's still a shield between me, which I would be a stockholder. You buy stock, you are a holder in a corporation, or you make a corporation, Parm Johal Corporation, it's going to go do business in whatever manner. It's his own person. The Supreme Court has ruled that it's his own person, its own entity, and it gets taxed. LLC gets passed to me, I pay the taxes. This thing gets taxed, right? It's only going to get taxed 18% in that socialist system. Why? Because it's going to allow business to thrive. Now, anything money that it makes, if it made $100, it's going to pay 18 cents. Then the rest of the 78 cents, if I did my math right, 78 cents stays in the corporation. Now, if the corporation decides to pay, and this is what they call double taxation, that's why people don't like dividend stocks. Because just like, Coca-Cola, it makes $100 million, Coca-Cola pays taxes. And then when they distribute their dividends and we get the dividends, we have to pay taxes on those dividends. And the same thing would happen is once the money gets dispersed from the corporation, the individual that benefited from owning the corporation still has to pay taxes on that profit. It's double taxation. It's always been that way. But in this new system where we charge people 40% tax and you get free college, you get free everything, only a corporation would be the vehicle that you could buy things on, and it'd only be charged 18%. And you will allow, if you keep the money in it, say, don't pay us. We got our own job on the side, we're doing whatever, don't pay us. We paid the 18%, we got the 78 cents in profit sitting there. Let's go buy another rental. Let's go invest in more R&D. Let's go do X, Y, Z, whatever. And you can allow the corporation to grow, make money, and pump the economy, and it's still paying its 18%. And society will still get, I guess, its cut. Whatever. I'm not trying to be what I still, of course, I'm against high taxes, but in this model, once let's say this corporation ends up being worth 100 million, and it's finally like, okay, we gotten to a point of maturity where we gotten like 60% of the market, we done whatever, we're doing great business. We need hold on this much money to, continue to fix things, we're going to disperse the rest of these earnings, because you can't just hold cash in here forever. Eventually, it's going to have to go back to the original investor. And then when that comes back, that's when I get taxed. So I'll pay my, dividends tax on that, whatever ends up my capital gains on that long term, which in this country right now is 20%. But under the newer model, I guess it really wouldn't matter, because it would just count as my income, and I would get charged at that 40%. That's what some of these other countries do, and it's worked good for them. I mean, it's true, guys. I went to Switzerland, and it was just very interesting before we hit the Alps. Stopped by McDonald's, because I missed home, but beautiful, beautiful country. And talking to the McDonald's worker there, and he was like, "Yeah, we're making like 90 grand a year." I was like, "What the 90 grand a year working at McDonald's?" Yeah, they take care of their citizens, and that's what America seems like it wants to go, or at least one side. What I think of the negative side is, if you stifle innovation, you stifle growth. You're not going to see the $5 trillion CEOs come up. You're not, like the congressman said at the congressional hearings, big is not bad. I just don't think you're going to see that much innovation, because when's the last time that another country has produced something of value that you're like, holy shit? And let's be honest. Apple, American. Amazon, American. Google, American. Tesla, American. Everything that is dominating the world is America. It's because our system, the way it is right now, works for it. But some people are being left behind. And what I got out of it was the antitrust thing was like, how big are we going to let someone be? I don't know. I don't know what the question for that would be. That's something that we could discuss. I definitely think it's an interesting conversation to have. In one sense, you're saying, hey, we're going to let you succeed, but we can't let you succeed too much. And if you do succeed too much, not only are we going to take your, half, in the taxes, or at least 20% of whatever you do, but we also might make you just split up the company. So then what incentive do I really have to work my ass off to get something big and going? But at the same time, you have to protect the consumer. So there's that fine line, because one example I give you is the diapers.com. Amazon purposely drove their diaper prices down, forced diapers.com to say, fuck, we'll sell to you. They took those website over, and then they jacked up the prices of the diapers. Now that sounds really bad, but let's look at it. When they didn't let Bezos explain, but I know what mathematically happened is diapers.com lowered their prices. Amazon matched those prices because they were competing for a customer. Sometimes you're willing to lose money on a customer in order to make them a return customer, right? So diapers.com was like, maybe we'll lose on a year's worth for one customer. We won't make any money, but if they buy diapers for 3 years, we'll make the money back. The problem here, it came down to, is Amazon had more money to burn, that it drove this person out of business. But they didn't really drive him out of the business. It was legally, diapers.com is the one that dropped the price, and Amazon matched it. They were able to match it for a lot longer. Now there's stipulations going as Amazon was a little bit lower, and they knew that they could burn them out. Once they burn them out, they could jack up the prices, make more money. So that's the real debate, is when do we restrict these companies and say, maybe you can't go into these things, or you have to start a whole new venture. Basically, I see the good and the bad on that side. Is Congress just wants what's best for me and you, the regular person. They couldn't care if everybody's making $1 trillion. As long as it's best for the consumer's not getting ripped off. From when we used to pay $5 for a diaper, now we're paying $50 because there's no competition, right? Because Amazon drove everybody out. And that's what it was ultimately down to. I don't know. We couldn't even pass a profit law that says you have to provide documentation that it cost you X amount of dollars to make an X amount of product, and you could only make a 30% profit. It's an idea. I'm not saying I'm for that or not. I'm just trying to wrap my head around these ways. The discussion for corporations in this country and the direction it's going is going to be up for discussion for the next 5 years, I would say. And I think it's good if you take what I had to say today and go do some more research yourself, listen to more people. I'll continue to talk about it and form your own opinion, because ultimately it's going to be our choice. And I think we have to come to a middle ground. I do want what's best for everybody, but I do also want insurance that when I put in my hard work, that I'm going to get what I sacrificed for it. That's all I'm saying. Hey, I hope this video opened your eyes a little bit, got you thinking. DM me, please comment on here if you got any questions. And obviously share this with one friend, help me grow the page. and hope you had a good weekend, because I plan on posting this sometime in the weekend.